As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'ma roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going. Better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains. Haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version. I'm never gonna give up. Fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah. Cause this is...
You're listening to the Tom Ficklin Show on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio.
Good morning, everybody. It's really a pleasure to kind of do this show this morning. The first reason is I have some gentlemen and a young lady on the show with me, and these days, I'm not sure about you, but my sleeping is kind of erratic, and just even my thoughts are beyond erratic. So just to kind of have a communion with folks and talk about actually anything sometimes is healing for me. But in this case, we're going to talk about men's health, family health, and young people's health, and just the world health. But in particular, men's health. As you may know, or you may not know, the Department of Health and Human Services has talked about this month being Men's Health Month, and it seems to me that given all the news for the last 4 or 5 weeks, that the issue of men's health is really important. We're not going to get too philosophical in that regard. We're going to get rather very, very practical in terms of what does it mean about maintaining your health in any particular situation, be it 2020, be it 2025, be it in 1619. What does it mean about men's health in terms of lifestyle and nutrition, your mental health, definitely. And not only what does it mean in terms of just talking about it, but how can we be proactive in encouraging and demonstrating and illustrating how you can remain healthy? We have Ray Anderson on the I should say on the line, but Ray Anderson is with us, and Reverend Leroy Perry and Sunday Black and Reverend Clayton. And if I can just get personal for a second, everybody, next month, July, is my 71st birthday. So it's easy for me to talk about health because I've been blessed to kind of have really good health for most of my life. But when I think about my grandson and my son and neighbors and friends that are not only here, looking up 6 feet under, but also might be kind of dealing with some health concerns at this very moment, and even more importantly, some health concerns that have not even been diagnosed, So preventive care, monitoring your body, watching your body, analyzing your body, having friends around you to kind of ask you how you're doing is so important during this Men's Health Month. So Ray Anderson is with us, Reverend Dr. Leroy Perry, Sunday Black, Harry Draws. I always like to mention Harry's name because he's our station manager for WNHH, so important, and Reverend Clayton. Reverend Perry, you might want to kick us off. I'm going to talk a little bit about my prostate situation, but before I go into that, what I mean, I'm a thriver, not a survivor. I'm a thriver, not a survivor. I had external radiation for prostate in 2008. But Reverend Perry, you want to kick us off and just talk about why this point in time is so important. But as I try to indicate, any point in time is important to talk about health. But this is Men's Health Month. Let's promote it. Let's be involved with it. Let's share it, and let's be proactive.
Yeah, I think that our mission at YCCI has much to do with health in all of its forms and all of its aspects. And when I say that, I mean not simply in terms of preventative, but also in terms of testing. It's a difficult effort to reach, particularly a minority population that has been so disenfranchised. And I think that should be our focus, and I think we're working to make that our focus. And if I can just give you an example, looking at the autopsy of George Floyd, he tested positive April 3rd. He was only 46 years old for coronavirus. But not only included in all of his other health outcomes, he had severe multifocal osteosclerosis, heart disease, hypertensive heart disease. He suffered injuries. He had fentanyl in his system and methamphetamine in his system. And so when you look at that and you think of what is going on in our population, particularly with our Black men, and how can we somehow address some of the hidden dramas that may be going on, dramas and traumas. It's, you know, the life expectancy has for African American men, I think it's 71 years old. For everyone else, is almost 78. And so, what are some of those? What are some of these disparities and these hidden causes that make for this disproportion? And I think this is something that we never really addressed. But you mentioned it when you said exercise. How many of us do exercise? How many of us can eat the whole food diet or the Daniel diet? Because it's expensive. I mean, even going to the gym, you have to get a membership, and you have to have a job, you have to have a car. I mean, so there are a lot of factors that need to be looked at in regards to our health in particular, and I think health in general.
Excellent. And Reverend Clayton, I want to come to you. And again, we mentioned YCCI, the Yale Center for Clinical Investigation, and all of you are connected with the Ambassadors Program as well. So I might ask Sunday to talk about that a little bit when we come to you. But I wanted Reverend Clayton, good to see you. Again, don't hold it against me. I know I haven't been in your church on a Sunday in a while, so just remain prayerful, and I'll do the same. And after I go to yours, I'll kind of hit Odinga's as well. I'll take a tour. But good to see you. But would you like to kind of share and kind of amplify on some of the thoughts that Reverend Perry just mentioned? Reverend Clayton?
Yes, I'm mute.
Well, I need you to, this is kind of a little tricky, but I need you to unmute yourself. Can you hear? Oh, yeah, there you go.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This month of men's health is very important to us because, especially in the community of color. And one of the areas that I want to share with us this morning is that if our men could somehow get to a doctor yearly for an examination, it would help us to track and help us to prevent some of these diseases that are killing so many of our people. Prostate cancer, for one, as you know, if you get tested early enough, is very treatable. There are testing sites all over our state for COVID-19, and we are number-wise are above every other race, the Black community. So I'm hoping that while we're gathering on your show, while we're talking about this as we speak at various fairs and what have you, we'll hope that the message will, to the men of our community and every community, to make sure that they get themselves tested, not only for COVID, but prostate cancer and other diseases that's plaguing our community today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, so pleased to kind of have everybody on the show, and for us a chance to, with the new technology, to kind of share this show with so many people, because the shows will be archived, and WNHH plays it. We'll play the show several times this week. But yeah, we want to beat this drum and spread this, excuse the expression, but I know it's kind of casual, but spread this gospel wide and far. Sandy, talk to us a little bit about the Cultural Ambassadors and the connection with YCCI. And this is your 11th year in terms of the collaboration?
Yes. I think from a men's perspective, and even in general overall, when you think about the work that we're doing with YCCI, it's really about getting out to our people, right? And helping them to understand the importance of not just being a part of clinical studies, but the importance of their own health and how to get ahead of things. Like Reverend Clayton had mentioned, making sure they're going out being tested. And it's just not about being tested, right? It's also about how do you take care of your health in general, right? How do we help one another, men helping women, women helping men, to really understand the importance of being in control of your own health, right? And what it means to do that. And so from a YCCI perspective, what we've been doing and working with our YCCI partners is just really educating our people, right? Getting out into our communities and educating them as it relates to health, as it relates to trial studies, and really just focusing on Black and brown people, right? We know that there's a disparity. We know that we are sometimes not as active as getting out there and going to the medical professions. We know there's issues in certain areas as it relates to insurance and things like that. And so we really sit down with different teams and talk about what can we do to help our communities to really get out there, take care of their health, help their loved ones take care of their health, and help their community in general to be healthy. And so I think our partnership with YCCI has really opened my eyes to really understand the significance of what our people are going through and what our struggles as it relates to health, as it relates to testing, as was mentioned. And I think with this being Men's Health Awareness Month, I think from a female perspective, we have to be there. We have to help sometimes be the voice for our husbands, our sons, our brothers, to really help them understand the importance of taking care of your body and doing those annual checkups, just eating right, getting a little exercise in. And so I think that's where, from a female perspective, where we come in to support our men in getting their health in check, or in order, I should say. Sure. But I'm sure Ray could tell you a little bit more about YCCI.
Well, okay, hey, Ray, that's your cue. So just before we come to you, nice pass off, nice baton pass off. But Ray, just before we come to you, Sunday, if I can just drill down a little more, Reverend Perry was kind enough to mention that you have 2 or 3 24/7, 365 reminders of the importance of men's health. You have two sons, 3 sons?
I have 3 sons.
So, I mean, that's a 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
Say a little bit more about that, if you would.
So for me, it's, again, it's all about education, right? And so all about education and life in general, right? And so I like to make sure that even from childhood, you take your kids to the doctor. So that's embedded in them, right? As they grow up, they go to their normal doctor's appointment, normal checkups. So they were brought up that way. Interesting enough, as they become adults, it's not as easy, and it doesn't transfer over so easily, because now they own that responsibility. And I'll speak to my men, my young men, and sometimes you got to push them, right? And sometimes it's like, have you had a checkup this year? Have you gone to the doctors? And it's just a routine, regular checkup. Well, I'm not sick, and that's the issue, right? I'm not sick, but it's not about being sick. It's about really having an understanding of what's going on in your body and taking those steps to go to those appointments. I mean, for me, for my I won't call them my boys, my young men, I'm still a part of that. I'm still a part of that. Like, when is the last time you went to doctors? Right down to the dentist, right? Yes. Have you had your yearly cleaning twice a year, but I'm still a part of that. And so I don't think that as my sons grow older, that ever stops, right? I'm still going to be that voice in their ear to say, it's important that you do this. Same thing with my husband. If I'll notice he's sick, and he'll be like, "Oh, I'm good," but you don't look good. So let's go get that checked out. And so I think it's all of our responsibility. Let me put it that way. It's all of our responsibility to ensure that our family is well, right? Yes. And that it means my grown children or my grown husband. If my father was here, I'd be doing the same thing with my father. You got to get your health checked out. And so for me, it's a lifetime role, and it's important because I want them to be around, you
Yes.
know, and I don't want them to suffer unnecessarily because they didn't get checked. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. Ray, again, welcome. I think this is your first time. As you can tell, Reverend Clayton and Reverend Perry and Sunday, they're pros. They've been through the drill before. This is your baptism. So we welcome you to the club. And but let's talk to us a little bit. Sunday kind of mentioned kind of the issue she would like you to kind of elaborate upon.
Well, thank you, Tom. It's a total pleasure to be here, and it is an illustrious group of people I'm following on here. But you know, some things you said early on, some things Reverend Clayton said, some things Sunday said are just so important. You know, in my career, I once got coached by someone. They asked me a question, and that question was, Ray, when it comes to your life and your career, what do you want to be? Do you want to drive or do you want to be driven?
Mm.
And that question is so apropos when it comes to people's health. And I'm going to use an example here, an analogy. Imagine that you're taking a ride in the car, or you're going to take your son or daughter out for a ride in the car, and you're going to either drive or be driven. Now, if you're being driven, you're going to ride along and look at the scenery and everything's good, and you didn't feel any bumps in the road, and you know, what a great day, having a great conversation. That's one experience. The other experience might be that you're driving and you're looking, and you can be doing one of two things: just driving and doing the same thing the person being driven is doing, or you can be looking at the gauges. Now you see that gas tank is starting to run down near empty, and the check engine light is blinking, and the tire pressure gauge is going, and you feel some roughness in the car. Those are all the kinds of things that we really need to get into in terms of our own health. Our own health. And I'll use the analogy of driving a car, because if you think about it in a way, your body is like a vessel that helps carry you through life. So it's critically important that we take care of that vessel, that we know what the readings for those gauges should mean, so that when you do go to a doctor, not just going, and I think that's important. I love that Reverend Clayton said getting that annual checkup. That's such a major first step. But then digging underneath it, knowing your numbers. You know, I go and I got to watch my A1C. I got to watch my PSA. I got to watch my blood pressure. There's all these different numbers that you need to really kind of get into. It really is incumbent on all of us to be smart, intelligent owners of our bodies. And I love that you opened the program with, you know, your own health, your family's health, and your children's health. And when you think about it, taking care of your health is a way to establish a leadership position, to demonstrate to your children, to demonstrate to the community, hey, I'm aware of my health. I'm aware of my numbers. It's not just, I feel okay, I feel great. Reverend Perry mentioned George Floyd, rest his soul. But all the conditions he had. And I'm thinking, hey, he's an athlete. And how many athletes do we lose out of the clear blue sky? Jim Fix was in perfect shape. He was a marathon global runner, and he had 4 blocked arteries. So it's so important that we get into a dialogue with our medical professionals. And the last thing I'll say, Tom, before I hand it back, is not to be passive.
That's
Go
right.
to the doctor and be driven. Tell the doctor, you know what, last time you prescribed this and I don't think it's working. I think we may need to do this. Here's a side effect I had. Where should I be? I don't think I'm there. So important to do that. So
I love when you mentioned that the metaphor and the phrase of driver or be driven. That's so important to take back your health. Ray, just before I pass it on, I just wanted to when some people will hear the term PSA, that's becoming a little more familiar with folks about determining if they might have some prostate conditions, and hypertension. Pretty much people are up to speed with. But you mentioned one other that I think pertains to protein,
A1C.
A1C.
Yes, that's the what would be an indicator of diabetes. Is your
Indeed.
sugar level up. Now, what should that number be? I think the number is around 6. So if it's above 6, you need to be concerned. The PSA, if it's above 4, you need to be concerned. I'm not any expert, but the reason I know those things is because I go to the doctor, and I'm not holding myself up as an example, but I'm just saying I go to the doctor. He'll say, I'm checking my PSA, and I'll say, well, what should the number be? And he says, 4. Well, you're at a 5.7. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it could mean a precursor for, prostate cancer. Okay,
Indeed.
well, what do we do now? Well, let's see, maybe you have a urinary tract infection. Let's see what's going on. There's a dialogue, but you have to be involved in that and drive it. You can't be passive. You can't be, oh, the doctor said I had high PSA, and not take it upon yourself to study. The internet's a wealth of information. You can find out all kinds of things. Do the research. It's your vehicle that you're driving through life. So you need to be sure that when the cages go, people take care of their car. Oh, car's not running right. I got to get it
that's right.
right away, because they know one thing. There's one thing they know, Tom. If something's wrong and you ignore it, it's going to cost you a whole lot more later.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's so true with your health. If something's wrong, and to Reverend Clayton's point, if you can catch it earlier through screenings, the likelihood of successful treatment and lower cost is so much greater.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I like to just say this, Tom, with regards to African American men. There's this thing called health stream. So they see the babies, they're coming down the river, and people say, oh my God, they're gonna drown. They get out the car and they're taking these babies and they're giving them resuscitation, and they're sitting. And one of the workers says, it's going upstream. They say, where are you going? We need you right here to help us, revive these children that are coming downstream. And this health worker says, no, I got to go up to find out where the stream begins, and maybe we can stop it there. And I think that with what we're looking at is that we're looking at a panacea of health disparities that deal with African Americans and African American men in general. I don't know if it is the Superman complex that says I don't need to go to a doctor, or God is gonna heal me. It's gonna be all right. But we know that stress is a killer, and you can imagine the stress on an individual who can't find a job, whose family has been taken or disassociated with his family. He can't get an ID. He has a parole record, so he can't get a job. Not saying that all do, but it seems to me the ones at the bottom are the ones we need to be looking at this point.
Yes.
I mean, I got health care insurance, but I mean, what about the people who can't afford it, who can't get it? There was a young man who had a fever, and he thought that he had the virus. So he called, he didn't know what he had, but he called the emergency room, and they told him he couldn't come to the emergency room unless his doctor had called first. Now, he didn't have a doctor. You know what I'm saying? So eventually he had to end up calling 211, but the process, the delay, the process, and it particularly affects, I believe, African American men. So somehow, I mean, the education, and maybe Sunday is right when she says, moms and daughters and wives must tell their sons and their husbands and, male counterparts how important it is to go to the doctor and stay on that. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that, health agencies and institutions like Yale could offer a lot. I mean, they can open up clinics for those who are depressed. They can open up centers where you can go and get tested. And I just think that we need to work together, partner together in a greater way than we're partnering right now to save lives. Most Black women now are concerned about that condition you talked about, that pre-existing condition called racism, how they're afraid to let their boys out in the car at night. You can be sleeping at a Wendy's and get shot when you could have walked off your high, but you could be killed because privilege allows that. Because you can. Not because you should, but because you can, because you have a weapon and you're legally able to do that, in most cases under the law, without penalty, with impunity. So, I mean, this is a tremendous time. That's why I think that your show and is a good opportunity for us, and we want to continue the dialogue with you on at least a monthly basis, if not more, to bring attention. This is Men's Health Month. They're not having health clinics. They're not having health fairs this month because you can't get out to do that. How are they going to get this message if we can't reach them to give them the message?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And what is the message that we're really going to give them? Oh, go get tested. You can't. Who's going to pay for me getting tested? So I'm a little concerned about all of this. So I'm just saying.
So Sunday and Reverend Clayton and Ray, I guess we missed the sermon yesterday. I guess Reverend Terry, I guess we missed, or maybe we didn't miss too much yesterday. Maybe he saved it up for today. I passed that collection plate. That's all I could say. Sometimes I make jokes when there's something that's so serious and profound that you've alluded to, and again, this access to livelihood. What does it mean for all lives to matter, for humans to matter, for Black lives to matter? So key. So I appreciate your sharing that. And that's the thing. We're all, I've known you from time to time, Reverend Perry, for off and on for 4 or 5 decades, and to see your passion and
I was one of your students.
Well, I graduated from graduate school when I was 16. I was like MLK, but no, to see you still having the passion and commitment. That's the key. And you have found. I'm going to take a little bit of a diversion, everybody, because just when Reverend Perry was talking, it seems to me that he's found some anchors and some mental health inoculations that have kept him committed. And I think, Ray, you were talking, as I heard your passion too, being aware, whether it's self-awareness, whether it's belief in a particular belief system, whether it's just a commitment to realizing what our fragility, because it seems to me, Ray, you indicated that you shouldn't be embarrassed if you're knowing that you're a human being and you're not a car, and it's not a mechanical situation. And Sunday, when I heard you talk about your young men, you didn't use the word love, but I could hear the word love kind of coming through everything you were talking about, and Reverend Clayton as well. So I want to ask, just go around, what kind of triggers or anchors have you guys used? Because all of us on this show this morning are a little bit over 21. Let me just say it that way. And so just share some, if you can't, you may not be able to get to the doctors today, but there may be some things that you can do in terms of your mental outlook, your psychic outlook, what you believe in, what you practice. So share, if you would. I'll start with you, Reverend Clayton, some of the things that have been helpful for you to kind of, to be able to stand tall, to be able to be on this call this morning and not prone, and not to have a ventilator in your mouth. So whether it's religion, whether it's a conversion experience, whether it's your grandfather, grandmother, kind of a few life lessons that have anchored you, have anchored you in this turmoil of what we call current events.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Before I answer that question, in church we have what we call the call to worship. Mm. In other settings, they might call it a call to order. Mm-hmm. And we have to sound the trumpet when it comes to our health, and today particularly men's health. One of the things that have helped me is the fact that I was a healthy man, no health issues, blood pressure perfect, cholesterol level low, diabetes. None of those issues plagued my life. And I went to the doctor one time, and he said, your cholesterol levels are higher than they should be. And I said, well, doctor, tell me what to do and I'll work on it. He said, well, change your diet. And if that works, we don't have to give you any medication. Man, I was eating Cheerios and oatmeal 24/7 and playing basketball, and it went down 40 points without medication. Mm. So I tell people that you really can help yourself by a little exercise and changing your diet. Now, if everyone that knows me, I am a cake addict. My middle name is Cake. But just yesterday, my wife went to my nephew's birthday party and she brought home cake and I refused to eat it. I refuse to eat it because I'm trying to do better.
In terms of the sugar?
Pardon me?
In terms of the sugar.
The sugar and everything else that's in that cake. And if we want to improve our health, look, diet is vital. It's vital. The fried chicken, fried pork chops, the cakes and the pies that are so easily for us, especially pastors, to get our hands on. If we just change those things, we will discover that our health will improve before it gets to diabetes, before your cholesterol gets to a place where you have to take medication. So my thing is make sure that we watch what you eat.
Yes. And Reverend Clayton, Sunday, just before I come to you, in terms of the anchors in your life, the discipline that you've been able to demonstrate, what's kind of helped you to maintain your discipline? Where I'm looking for kind of sharing some of the life lessons, or what kind of how do you check yourself? How do you know that you're about to make a mistake? And is it the mental? What do you do for a mental exercise, for discipline, for being conscious and aware of how fragile this existence is?
Is that for me or Reverend Clayton?
I'd like to hear Reverend Clayton elaborate a little bit more on that. And then and Sunday, the same.
What are the anchors? I have been anchored in my relationship with God since 12. Come from a religious family. Grandfather was a pastor. My mother was a PK. So this thing was really pounded in us. So when you want to do wrong, you can almost hear them speaking to us. As you begin to do the thing that you want to do. Like when you want to do right, evil is always present. But mama's voice was always present. Daddy's voice was always present. So that power that the power of their words,
yes,
and the power of God's words are the things that keep me, even during this time when the world is so upside down.
Yes. Sunday?
Well, first of all, I want to talk about the cake Reverend Clayton claims he didn't eat.
Now be nice now. This is
of course. But I believe him. Honestly, I do believe him. But I would have loved to witness it, because he really is truly telling the truth. He is a sweet fanatic. He loves sweets and cakes. But I'm proud of you, Reverend Clayton, turning away some cake. For me, several things, right? It's a couple of things that keep helped me to maintain. So prior to COVID, right, I had started going back to the gym, and it's easy to just like, okay, I'm stuck in the house, do nothing, right? And so maybe I did that for about a week or 2 weeks. But then I realized, I may be stuck in here for a little while. So I started walking, right? And so really holding myself accountable and applying some discipline to my life of like, okay, so do I want to sit here and just explode during COVID? Or do I want to, get out there and start moving or doing something? So for me, it's about, finding that discipline and finding that routine and being able to do that. And then also having my sisters and I started doing dual meetings of just 6:30 every day. We have a challenge every month. This month we're doing a squat challenge for 30 days, right? And so we are holding each other accountable to keep moving. And I just during the whole squat challenge, I started asking like, how many steps have you taken today, right? And so really kind of making them aware of how many steps they're taking, and then myself being aware of how many steps I've taken, and then really kind of helping not just myself as a reminder, but helping my sisters also by like all the conversation I have with my doctor. So yes, I had an appointment with my doctor this week or this month, and we talked about like staying active, and you know, it's not just about the walking and taking steps. It's about making sure your heart rate goes up a little bit so that you're getting that true exercise. And, you know, not only is it good just for your health in general, it's good at this time from a COVID perspective because you're keeping your lungs and your heart and everything strong. So, you know, kind of sharing that information with them as well. It's all, to me, there's three things that really help me, you know, education, right? So what does this mean to me, right? Educating myself. Discipline, you know, discipline and following that routine and making sure you're switching it up a little bit so your body feels something different every once in a while. And then also that commitment to just like committing myself to just not myself, but supporting my family as well. Yes. I'll be honest, as it relates to the food thing now, I like food. Don't laugh, Reverend Clayton. But I'll be honest, my son is actually really like, I call him the food police around here. He's always on me and my husband. Yeah, that got too much sugar in it, or you probably shouldn't be eating that. Or he'll eat something that you brought in because, you know, you wanted a little pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And he tells you how he's doing you a favor of eating that for you so that you don't have to eat it. It's not always a laughing conversation because if I bought it, I wanted to eat it. But, you know, really just everybody's in it together, honestly. You know, he really helps us stay focused. And I think what's important to remember is everything in moderation, right? So if there's certain things you want to eat, you know, in moderation, you can eat certain things. You don't have to cut off everything to stay healthy. You know, there is moderation. And then that with a combination of your health, your exercise, your walking, if you just, you know, even if you can't walk every day, just every once in a while, take a walk, find some discipline in what you're doing in it. I hate to say the word routine because it does become a routine, but I think sometimes that's important when you have someone have a routine. That way they find consistency in what they're doing. And it's just not, you know, it becomes a habit and you just help. You're just really trying to be healthy. So
perfect. Tremendous. Thank you. Ray, can you top that, Ray?
Yeah, I can, Tom. I'm
all right. Okay.
Because, you know, Reverend Clayton's emphasis on nutrition and healthy eating and Sundays on exercise, those aren't really my sweet wheelhouses. I do eat well. I do eat a lot, but I watch what I eat. That I do. But you know what keeps me grounded, Tom, is really and I don't in any way want to underestimate what Sunday and Reverend Clayton have pointed out. Those are very, very important. And I've got to get, you know, you have to constantly rebalance things in your life. And I think one of the real blessings of life is that we can evolve within our own lifetimes. So what keeps me grounded from a kind of spiritual level, if you will, is just the desire to look at life as something that, you know, every day you wake up and say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to try to be a little bit better version of myself today than I was yesterday. And that really helps guide me. And Reverend Clayton used a term that helped me focus in on the concept of a moral compass. I think we all have moral compasses, and we have to be, one, in tune with those compasses, and then two, willing to constantly evaluate how well our moral compasses are calibrated. How well are they adjusted to drive us in the right behavior in treating other people? I mean, the representation of God, I'll use that word, is most easily seen, and for me, in the eyes of other human beings. And to the degree that, I can try to live my life each day and be a little bit better version of myself today than I was yesterday. Now, I'll be the first one to admit there's some days that I'm a total failure. There's things I do, reactions I have to my wife or, people around me that aren't the ideal. So you recalibrate, you think about it and say, how could I have handled that differently? Maybe I need to apologize. It's this constant drive to try to be a better version of myself every day. That kind of keeps me grounded, because when you read the news and you listen to the things that are going on, it's so easy to form a whole lot of get a whole lot of feelings welled up in you, especially as a human being. I've always said that, being an African American is a daily spiritual exercise to keep your heart pure and not get the poison, not let the poison that's out there seep into you. And I had a moment of awareness, and I said, now that we know more about bullying, we used to just fluff bullying off. Oh, that's just something that kids do to each other. And, it's not that big a deal. Now there are bodies of psychological knowledge and studies that show the absolutely devastating effect that bullying has on people. And then I see the world events and I said, as a Black person, that's what's happening. We're being bullied. That's really what it's coming down to. We're bullied from the point of slave traders coming into Africa all the way up through slavery, through Jim Crow, and to yesterday, where people are getting bullied for being asleep in a Wendy's. So there's this constant thing. You see it, but the challenge is then to still become a better person in light of all of that. And that's what I use to try to keep me grounded, so I don't get too far afraid. Now, once you pull back from that, being a better person means having a healthier body, and all the other, eating better food, all of the corollary things that support being a better version of yourself. So that's kind of how I see it for me.
Well, I really appreciate those insights, and it's so key to kind of know what your story is and your own, and actually what you tell yourself, because sometimes we may sometimes be lying to ourselves, not even knowing it. So knowing the truths that are important to you, even in your conscious and subconscious thoughts. Reverend Perry, please.
Yeah, Tom, I was going to say, going back again to the social determinants and following the stream. So if a child, when May was talking about bullying, if you go through trauma, whether it's in your family, in your neighborhood, that will affect your health outcomes later on in terms of your mental health, maybe even your physical health. Whether you're drinking Flint water because you can't afford bottled water, it's somehow going to, affect your health. Whether you have poor air quality in your house, or if there's molds, or if there are roaches in your house, and you think that, I can't do any better, and you don't address that. One lady went to the doctor, she had asthma real bad, and she said, aren't you just gonna give me some medicine? And he says, no, tell me something about where you live. Tell me something about the quality of life at your address. And when she started talking about the molds and talking about the road, he says, okay, I can better help you by helping you get your landlord to do the right thing in your apartment, and you may not need this medicine. Now, for me, I agree with Reverend Clayton. I believe that our strength is somehow inextricably related to our faith. Our parents taught us cleanliness was next to godliness for a reason. Not only was it outside cleanliness, but you needed to have a clean heart. You needed to be able to sleep at night. You needed to be able to love your neighbors. You needed to be able to care about the Samaritans who may, those members of your community who may have fallen by the wayside and not walked by on the other side. Saying all of that, I say I'm grounded in a religious context. And I think for most African Americans, I think what made the Black middle class come to life was that you had African Americans who had religious values, like a work ethic, like an aspiration and goal, like being told that you had to go to Sunday school and you had to go to church. And I think that they help bring out better outcomes. So I'm not in jail. You know, I'm not strung out somewhere, because I had parents who cared enough to bring me to an institution of faith where I could get some more mentoring. Mentoring that I would not get in public school, because that's a different form. That's an academic form. And I don't think that the academic form is not enough. You really need that spiritual form. Now, when I was in divinity school with you, Tom, I realized that my diet was something I needed to work on. I remember the Muslim book called You Are What You Eat, and the book called Back to Eden, telling you which plants and herbs were healthy to eat. I remember going to the health food store on Whaley Avenue, bringing home goat milk, and my dad saying, "What is this?" and wheatgrass and gula kula and fo-ti ting and all of these herbs. And I realized that even now, when I go to CVS, regardless of my medication, I'm looking at Linus Pauling, who was a Nobel Peace Prize winner, said that vitamin C, a cold could not live in an alkaline environment, and that he believed that if you took massive doses of vitamin C, it would strengthen your immune system and your heart. I must spend $100 a month on vitamins that I probably don't need, because I want to stay healthy. But you look at the young people, they're not, they may get a vitamin, but I'm looking, every magazine, health magazine, and saying, oh, do I need something for testosterone? Do I need something for autoimmune systems? I mean, I'm always looking at how much do I take? Do I take the vitamin D3? Do I take 500 or 1,000 C? And they say, well, it's going to run out of you. So how do we get other people to take this kind of interest? And I think you're right. It's in our food. It's in our diet. I mean, there's so many steroids in our food. I mean, I was looking at Tyson chicken the other day and saying, at least they're not using antibiotics in the Tyson chicken. And I think Sunday's absolutely correct. It's everything has to be in moderation. So if you can put the cake together that Reverend Clayton didn't eat, you can't put the sugar on top of the cake after the cake is baked. You got to put everything in the cake while it's baking. So you got to have some spirituality. You got to have a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar and some flour. All of it has to be in there. So in terms of men's health, it just seems to me that we need to tell our young men, you know what? You need to have a vitamin, boy. You need to get yourself, you need to know God, because you're going to have some stress in your life that you can't handle. But I know somebody, Mama said, there's somebody who can help you, who will help you fight your battles, who help see you through it. And I think this is something that's missing in our dialogue about men's health, and particularly in our community. It's an absence now. There's a void that was once there. And I think we got to find a way of restoring that if we want to see better health outcomes.
Well, certainly are being visible and active in the community, and really want to thank all of you for being here. And again, this is just, it's a continuation, to say the least. And sometimes you got to be a sprinter and a marathon runner and a triathlon runner for that matter. We have about 2 minutes. I want to give folks, 30 seconds or so to kind of last words, and really want to appreciate everyone for sharing this communion. We're going to widely, through social media, share this information. Really just want to encourage you, and want you to encourage others. And you certainly have encouraged me about how important it is to kind of to get up each morning and to be thankful. To get up, to be thankful, and to share those things, and to illustrate those things, and to demonstrate those things. Reverend Clayton, we have, like, again, 2 minutes, so maybe you have 30 seconds for any last words. And again, thank everybody for being here, for just being here and existing and illustrating what it is to kind of to be a helpful spirit on the planet. Reverend Clayton, any last words?
Yes, thank you, Tom. I want to just back up just a bit and say to our audience that we should sound the trumpet for men's health and the health of our people in general. Be proactive. Help people to understand that they can be healthier if they just make some changes. Let them know that there is a better way, another way. If you're doing the wrong thing for the last 10 years, there's another way to get it right. So that is my last word today. Just make the necessary changes to remain healthy. And God bless you.
Amen. Sunday?
For me, I guess my last words would be really just find what grounds you, right? What grounds you spiritually, emotionally, physically, you know, support the men in your life, support the men in your community, and just love on one another so that we can stay healthy.
Ray.
I'd like to just say thank you, Tom, for the invite here. And I'd like to say it's never too late. Don't think, well, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. It's too late. It's never too late.
Seize the time. Reverend Perry.
Well, I'd just like to simply close by thanking you and our audience, and by saying something that I think Clayton kind of mentioned. It's a call to worship. Men's health and Black men's health is truly a call to worship. And I think we ought to look at it in that fashion.
Harry, that's it. I think we want to ponder and kind of digest everything that's happened today. And thank you, everybody. I like that.
Thank you, Tom. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, Tom, and bless everybody.
We'll do it again.
All right.
We'll do it again.
Thank you.
Rhyme another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'm what I'm giving. Got some ambition. This new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going. Better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains. Haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version. Whoa. I'm never gonna give up. Fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah. Cause this is my road.